Hi, and welcome back to this free-for-all Friday edition of Focal Point, AFR Talk. Rob, let's grab clip number one to start off our sound bites today. This is Herman Cain. He's now a Fox News contributor. And Herman Cain is talking here about what happened on November 6, 2012. Let's listen.
Look, 51% of the voters elected Barack Obama. 49% of us are not that stupid.
Herman Cain, 49% of us were not stupid enough to vote for Barack Obama. Herman Cain said that. I didn't. I'm just reporting what Herman Cain said. 49% of us were not stupid enough to vote for Barack Obama. Now, clip number two, Rob, this is Barack Obama, and he is making his assessment about what it is that binds Republicans together. Now, I frankly have a similar question. I'm not sure what binds Republicans together today. I know that what Barack Obama says here is not the thing. It's completely wrong. It's totally false. It's bogus. It's just slanderous. And it's really despicable because it's just demagoguery. But, I don't know what binds Republicans together today. I honestly don't. I mean, I think right now we've got three political parties in America. We have the Barack Obama Democrats, we have the Karl Rove Republicans, and we have the Ted Cruz Republicans. And what binds the Ted Cruz Republicans together is different than what binds the Karl Rove Republicans together. So that, I think, is what we're trying to figure out. I mean, we all have that question. What does this party stand for? I mean, I'm not sure I know. I look at their platform. The platform is great. As far as I'm concerned, what conservatives should demand is that the Republicans just run candidates that actually believe in and will campaign on their platform, because that is their platform. They say this is what we believe. This is what we stand for. They spend a considerable amount of time hammering out that platform as a statement of the beliefs of the party. And then they have candidates that completely ignore most of it. John Huntsman out there today, ran for the presidency. He's out there saying we got to go with gay marriage. Now, so I'm not sure what it is that is holding the Republican Party together. I know what is supposed to hold the Republican Party together, and it's very, very simple. What holds the Republican Party together is three things: a strong national defense, smaller government, and family values. That's it. Those are the three legs of Ronald Reagan's stool of conservatism. That's what holds the Republican Party together. We believe in a strong national defense. We believe in smaller government, less regulation, lower taxes. And we believe in traditional moral values. We believe in man-woman marriage. We believe in the sanctity of life. We believe in the sanctity of the family. We believe in local control. We believe in empowering the family and transferring power from the government and the state to the family. Those are the things that we believe in. So it's very simple. What ought to bind the Republican Party together? National defense, smaller government, family values. That's it. I mean, it's not complicated. So those are the things that actually bind conservatives together. Here is what Barack Obama says binds Republicans together.
My sense is that their basic view is that nothing is important enough to raise taxes on wealthy individuals or corporations, and they would prefer to see these kinds of cuts that could slow down our recovery over closing tax loopholes. And that's the thing that binds their party together at this point. This is a major argument, obviously, we've been having for the last 3 years.
And the interesting thing, he says, look, getting tax breaks for the wealthy, that's what binds this party together. He's a big-time buddy of Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook guy. I mean, they campaign together. They do Facebook town halls together, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Facebook made $1.1 billion last year. You know how much this buddy of Obama's, how much they're going to pay in taxes? Zero. In fact, Facebook, a friend of Obama's, friend of Barack's, and he's the one that's accusing us of being all about crony capitalism. This is crony fascism. Facebook is going to get a $429 million refund that you and I are going to pay for. We're going to pay for that. That's coming out of our pockets. So Facebook makes $1.1 billion, but they're only going to pay they're not going to pay anything in taxes, just like GE, another friend of Barack, and they're going to get $429 million back. But this man has the audacity to accuse us of being the ones that are all about keeping taxes low for the rich, which they are not, by the way. The rich do, in fact, pay a higher tax burden than ordinary Americans. Got the story right here from CNBC. Millionaires pay the highest tax rate. You know, you got Warren Buffett out there. Oh, my secretary pays more in taxes than I do. CNBC, hardly a part of the vast right-wing conspiracy, begs to differ. According to new data from the IRS, people who make $1 million or more had an average tax rate of 20.4% in 2010. Tax filers who earned $30,000 to $50,000 paid an average rate of 4.8%, while those who made between $50,000 and $100,000 paid 7.7%. Those making under $30,000 had a negative effective rate, meaning they got more back than they paid in. We actually paid them money to live in this country, you and me, by paying our taxes. So in other words, millionaires pay a tax rate that is more than 4 times that of the middle class. So don't let anybody lie to you about this. Millionaires pay an effective tax rate of 20.4%. The middle class pays a tax rate of between 5 and 7%. Don't let anybody lie to you. Millionaires not only paying more in taxes, they are paying taxes at a higher rate. Well, Free for All Friday, let's go to the phones. Let's start with Bobby in Northtown, Texas. Bobby, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
What I was thinking about is Barack's going to Israel here in the near future, right?
Yes, he is.
For the first time ever, right?
First time ever.
And he's been to all the neighbors around here, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, everywhere.
Oh, yeah. He's been virtually everywhere except for Israel. And then when Bibi Netanyahu comes to visit him, he makes him cool his heels while he has dinner with his family upstairs.
Okay, now, I'm a big student of prophecy and eschatology. We know all these things are going to happen because they're in Scripture. We're coming up on a new pope, which some people say is going to be the last one.
Uh-huh.
All this is going to happen one day. We've already been given over to a depraved mind. How much longer is God going to put up with this?
Yeah, so is that kind of your question about how all this fits into end times eschatology?
Well, I know how it fits in, but it looks like it's right around the corner.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is, and I appreciate the call, Bobby, the reality is we just don't know. And I want to make this point because we need to understand this, that every generation since the time of Christ thought that it was living in the last generation. Every generation since the days of Jesus thought that the end of all things was right around the corner. Now, obviously, every single one of them was mistaken. And those of us that believe the end may be around the corner, we too may be mistaken. I take a little bit different approach to eschatology than a lot of my Christian friends do. We're not going to know who's right till it's too late to matter. But I think the reason for this, if you look at the book of Revelation, the way I understand the book of Revelation is it's not a linear description of what's going to happen, the way things are going to play out. John is just seeing a vision of the lasting conflict between the forces of good and the forces of evil that will take place all throughout history until the day when Jesus comes on as the rider on the white horse and sets things right. So what that means is the dynamics that you see in the book of Revelation, where you've always got Satan trying to establish one counterfeit religious system, and one counterfeit political system, one counterfeit messianic leader, that he's always trying to do that. He's always been trying to do that. He's always been trying to offer up alternatives to Christ. Anti-Christ can also mean instead of. Here's the guy to worship instead of Christ. You got a lot of that with Barack Obama. We're almost an idolatry of him. He cannot do wrong. It's blasphemy to criticize him. That can happen with any public figure who becomes idolized and sort of treated as something that's more than human. But because the book of Revelation describes these dynamics that we're always going to see in human history, it's always going to look like we're living in the last days because Christ and Satan are constantly at war with each other for world control, for world domination. So Satan is always going to have some counterfeit religious system. Right now it's Islam. He's always going to have some guy he's pushing to be the the leader of the world. He's always going to have a counterfeit prophet as an alternative to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so that means everybody thinks that they're living in the last days. And one day, of course, we are going to be right. You know, and I think it was Martin Luther said, look, what would you do if you knew God was going to come back tomorrow, Christ was going to come back tomorrow? I'd plant a tree. So we live every day as if Christ was not going to come back for 1,000 years, and we live every day as if Christ was going to come back tomorrow. Let's go to Joy in Trinidad, Texas. Joy, you're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Yes. First, I want to say thank you for AFR and for its programming. But yesterday, there was a gentleman that called your program with a quote from, I don't remember what paper, about Dr. Jeffress.
Yeah, the Daily Times. I think it was a paper in Alabama or Georgia or someplace like that. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. And you seem to doubt what he was reading. And he said he was reading from the paper. I actually have the paper in front of me from the Houston Chronicle, and it was in the religion section on Sunday, February the 3rd, and it says exactly what that, I believe he said he was a minister.
Right, yeah, I don't know, Joy, you might have missed this part of the program yesterday, but I called that article up and I read that article to our listening audience. And what Mike did yesterday is he stopped reading from that article one sentence short, because what Robert Jeffress went on to say immediately basically is that all sin is genetic. We all inherit, because we're sons of Adam, we all inherit a propensity toward evil. It might be a propensity toward alcoholism. It might be a propensity toward violence. He thinks there's a possibility it might be a propensity toward homosexuality. But what Robert Jeffress said, that's never an excuse for sinful behavior. That's the whole point of the gospel, is to give us a capacity, whether the temptation is toward violence or substance abuse, homosexuality, adultery, sexual immorality. That's the whole point of the gospel, is to give us a source of power with which we can resist those temptations. All right, Joe, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you for that, and we did clear that up yesterday. I felt like there's a little bit of misrepresentation of Dr. Jeffress's part, and I wanted to be sure. That's why it just didn't sound like him. When you read the whole article, you realize, no, he's not saying anything different than you and I believe. We're sons of Adam. We have an inbuilt tendency towards sin. The gospel helps us with that. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.